I'm just remembering the time that you asked Molly. One of my commenters said that, you know, oh, give Joe a break.
Yeah, let him pinch.
You want to introduce Joe?
Hi. By order of the Manhattan Neighborhood Network policies, we have to host in an official capacity the Truth for a Change Joe Friendly Spectacular. Meanwhile, let's plan to talk with George. When we were going to turn on the camera, my original instincts weren't along the lines of George interests. I mainly was going to propose a new turn of events for the Obama campaign. That I was going to propose that I submit for public consideration, and Obama's as well, a plan for peaceful revolution, the friendly revolution. So Obama plus Joe Friendly equals the changes that are really called for. And thank you for the rhetoric. I could say for the sake of some logic that Obama and me, we share Chicago. So as two Chicagoans...
But you're not Capricorns, are you? You want to tell people the sun sign thing, or is that jumping into too soon?
Part of the logic of my insinuating myself onto the political scene, plus or minus, we could also say human history.
Because once George calls, you'll never get your word.
I won't have a chance to talk so much. We got 9 minutes, or 8.5 before George calls.
Because the Obama story kind of reminded me of B.B. Rebozo. About Nixon, remember? Oh. You said that your sun sign discoveries indicated...
Oh, that those two went at it in the yacht. No, moving right along on that thought.
No, Joe, come on, tell him.
No, the idea was that I think I have worked out the simple language that would enable us as a whole people to actually embrace the kinds of changes that we actually do need. We need an actual democracy, not a sham democracy. And currently, the entire representative system of government is shot to hell, no good, corrupt, a poor excuse for a democracy in which money is the common currency of the political process, and that's no good. It ain't democracy that way.
How about that DVD you brought over?
Such an interruption. Why are you moving so fast? What?
Oh, because I get so bored of hearing about money and corruption of the government, that's why.
Well, it is kind of boring, but here I have the solution. But part of the argument for me being the guy, I mean, if you look in my apartment, I do have...
Come on, Joe, just a second. You're always ripping Harold.
All the work I've been doing on the revolution. You know, pads and pads of paper with words, meticulous. I have drafted the revolution. Although Clark Kissinger recently said, Joe, why don't you just print it out and quit yakking about it?
Hey, can you give Harold Channer a break, Joe?
Well,
because don't you do the same thing?
You know, I've talked with Harold yesterday and today.
Oh, good.
And I haven't sent him any of my heavy-duty letters. I thought I should put them on paper and then bring him over to his house with some herbal supplements so that he'd be in the right frame of mind.
Joe, did you see what I got from one of my viewers on YouTube in Memphis about Harold? Did you read that?
No, I didn't.
He thought the letter would be too severe. And then he made some, oh, you didn't? Well, then I'm going to, it must be in your inbox.
Well, I have a new improved version, but...
well, you got to look at Robbins.
But mainly the idea is to appreciate how when somebody is talking, interruptions are usually tragedies. That they could usually do better without the interruption. The way Amy Goodman interviews people, I think, is quite beautiful and is not intrusive, not interrupting. And I think she does, when she interrupts, when she poses a question, it is with such a good sense of respecting the completion of the thought that her questions typically enable the speaker to even embrace more. You know, they're actually helpful.
Right.
But it's the way
Right,
I would
you
score
empathize.
Harold's is, "Oi, Harold, you shouldn't have done it." That's and to get Harold to see that is very difficult. But I did appeal to Harold's senses of letting his audience see in this lifetime this change. You know, it's easy for him to die of a heart attack and we never get to see a new Harold. But what I want to see is a new smiling Harold nodding supportively as people get a chance to finish their thoughts. And I was thinking it could be an ad for marijuana, that if he kept smoking instead of interrupting, you know, it could be the marijuana industry could pay him as the as the poster boy for the curative properties of marijuana.
Just a second, I want a disclaimer. There's absolutely no marijuana in the vicinity. Joe had come over and he brought me a DVD that I had asked for from one of my viewers called Alpha Niggas. Did you know that's his name, Alpha Niggas? Oh, here, there's the DVD. And he said that if he could get Nico Haupt freaking out at St. Mark's Church, which was the pivotal DVD that got me to say, wow, there's a serious unmet need here. And that's how I started to get into the 9/11 TV fakery, although it was many months until I actually grasped it. But I could see from this DVD that there was a lot more going on than met the eye. So one of the viewers, Alpha Niggas, said that he would give me $75 for that DVD, because I was doing an appeal for donations. And then I said, he wanted me to mail it, and he would send me the check or whatever. And then I said, I'd really like to meet you in person, because this was one viewer that had been writing so many comments, and I wanted less transparency. I wanted transparency.
Do you have any sense of why you wanted it?
I don't know, but he said that he's 3 people under that handle.
What's that mean?
That means that we have professionals on our site. Hard to believe, huh?
You mean he represents a group?
He represents a group. People that are probably paid to take a look at what's going on with public access.
Hmm.
How does that make you feel?
Well, I still can't quite get a handle on why he wants the DVD. That Nico did put it up, but then he mashed it up.
I don't know what Nico's done with it. I didn't talk to him about it, but it really is a very important DVD.
And I think
really
Les put it up too.
Maybe Les put it up too. A lot of people felt that it would discredit the no planer stance because he was so angry. But sometimes anger is a tragic expression of an unmet need, and that's what I wanted to know. What need was not being met? And incidentally, we were at St. Mark's Church yesterday, and Frank Morales was very nice when Nico Haupt came in with some garlic around his neck.
I couldn't quite get the sense of that. What was that all about? Tell me more.
Well,
Frank couldn't figure it out.
Frank?
Yeah.
Frank couldn't figure out what?
What was the idea of your appearing at the door?
Oh, Frank, I always try to stay on good terms with everybody.
But Nico wasn't welcome in the room, I think.
In the past, Nico wasn't welcome, no.
So you were hoping that you could promote a rapprochement?
Yes, that's exactly what I was hoping for. The other thing is We Are Change split up after the Nico blow-up. And then We Are Change, I think none of those people feel comfortable at the church either.
Well, part of the problem is, if he is going to wear the garlic, then he's not in peace mode particularly. The problem with Nico
No, but garlic is a really...
interrupt.
Garlic is in California, the garlic capital of the world, Watsonville. They said garlic is like 10 Jewish mothers. It's very protective. And, you know, one might become interested in herbology when you saw it because it worked. There were much better vibes at St. Mark's Church than there was down at Ground Zero when I went over to Luke and Sabrina, and they told me to go back to my corner because I'm staking out a no planers corner. And I don't know, staking out, I just felt, you know, somebody should be down there and be available for this position. And I had a beautiful interview with Al Duffy, and then the last few minutes of tape was very, very uncomfortable confrontation with We Are Changed. So relatively speaking, St. Mark's Church was a very nice place to be. And Frank said, "Come on, Nico, it's fine." He didn't have a problem.
So he was invited in?
Yeah.
But he didn't come in?
Yeah, he came in.
And then what happened?
Haven't edited the footage.
How long did he stay in?
Well, we were supposed to have that Rodriguez guy, but I don't think he showed up. And then
he showed up.
I wanted to. He did show up? Did you go?
Yeah, I taped him.
So I wanted to go to see the Oscars at Harold Channer's with Nico. So that's what happened. That started at 8.
Oh.
How was it with Rodriguez?
Huh?
How was it with Rodriguez?
He talked well. He was photographed by me and Les. I came about 10 minutes late. And then I shot up one reel, and I had like about 20 minutes into another 60-minute tape, and it dawned on me to let's have a session of him and me on tape, and at the place was my favorite cameraman, Ed Fambry, who's a friend of Harold's, who shows up, but he's like a high-paid commercial videographer, cameraman. And he has called me up at times to say he liked a particular show or other. And so I've always felt on good terms with him. So I said right away, "Would you shoot it?" And he said, "Yeah, I'll do it." So then it was just a matter of getting Willie's okay on the deal. And Willie says, no, he doesn't appear on camera except in a suit and tie. So I said, well, we already shot an hour and a half of you in a black sweatshirt.
What did he say?
He said, I hereby don't give you, I withdraw, or whatever, you don't get permission to use that, it's only for personal use.
How do you feel about that?
Well, it was consistent. I mean, if he does believe that necktie is the only way to go, I was hurt that it didn't occur to me that that was an issue, that I thought we were shooting keepers. But, and then I had to look in Les's eyes like, well, he has that right, it's his choice to make if he doesn't want to release it. I said, let's send him a DVD of what it looks like. Maybe he'll see that he looks okay in a black sweatshirt.
Have you ever considered, Joe, that maybe that story of controlled demolition is not true and he's a plant and the story's not true? And he might have something to hide and he uses that as an excuse?
The answer is no, that his sincerity did come through pretty good.
Yeah, but Joe, just a second.
He does walk a tightrope.
What about the sincerity of respect for a photographer's time? I mean, you're known as the man who covers these events.
He doesn't know me that way. He hasn't met me.
But why the hell would he come to a public event and speak and not have it taped? I think there's something hiding there. Why?
Yeah, I'm surprised. I am surprised, Paula Gloria, that you were able to come up with a new wrinkle. Yeah, what about that? Well, I will say what I was listening for was from new information. I did want to know if he had come to a conclusion of what was going on that 34th floor. And he said that he knew that floor well, that when he would hide out for his lunch and didn't want to be bothered, he would go to that floor. He was the only one, plus one or two other people, who had a key to that floor. But this particular time, he decided not to use his key to go in and see, because there was the sound of so much activity there. So that held up okay. I did ask him one question myself. I asked him if it was unusual. I had seen scaffolds with men on the north face of the North Tower in mid-August before September 11. And he said they were probably just cleaning windows. And I said, but I understood that the window cleaning had been engineered to be just robotic, that they had a robotic window cleaning system. And he said they did have robotic, but that in addition they did use scaffolding. Because up until that very moment, boing, I was thinking, oh, they were planting explosives on the... Well, that's one way to plant explosives, is from the outside. So you don't have to knock on doors and get into offices. You could just stick cutting charges all over the outside columns with a little wire here, a little battery there.
So Joe, you're a charge hugger.
I'm a charge hugger. I am a charge hugger. I have seen the light that cutting charges work so beautifully. If they're arranged well and they're timed well, that is the way to bring a building down. But it comes down to this, Paula Gloria, dear heart. If a building comes down with controlled demolition, we're talking about the force of gravity being used professionally, methodically, masterfully. When you have gravity being used masterfully to bring down a building, then it does come down, lo and behold, around the speed of gravity. And those buildings came down within a second or two of the speed of a falling ball, which is normal controlled demolition. So it doesn't take a struggle with the imagination to imagine beam weapons and exotic space weapons or anything special, except lots of explosives distributed well, timed well, albeit with cutting charges, which are not quite the same as explosives. You would agree there's two different things there, Paula? Explosives and cutting charges?
I just don't think any controlled demolition looks like the kind of smoke and dust that you saw at 9/11.
Any kind of controlled demolition looks like the smoke and dust. Now let's go back.
I saw one.
When I see the
picture.
smoke and dust, it makes me totally at peace. I think, oh, there it is, proof of controlled demolition. And you're looking at it and saying, oh, proof it's not controlled demolition.
Oh. I'm sorry, I was just going into my email and there was hardly any there, and then I realized it was your email account.
Oh.
So I was thrown off.
Okay.
No, I saw one picture, and I will roll it in here if I can find it, where the smoke is the perfect outline of the building. It's like the building, for a moment, turned into smoke in the shape of a building. And then one second or so later, apparently, the second photograph was snapped. And then it's more like a billowy, you know, a roundish shape of smoke. It doesn't look like the shape of the building.
Hi, ugly.
You should put him on speaker.
Ooh, this is this is the baritone version of her.
You got to put it on speaker for people, Joe. Put it on speaker.
Let's see. We're going to put you on speaker. How's that?
If you like.
Oh, we're going to change the topic here?
Have you been following our struggling conversation with the plane huggers and the charge hugging? Cutting charges?
He doesn't want anything to do with 9/11.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Okay, ugly.
Okay.
We'll put your site up. What's up? He can't hear me. You'll have to repeat.
You know, I was looking for a website to put up called Florida Trailer Park Beauty Contest that my friend Steve Tweeden sent me email, and I sent it around to some friends yesterday. And some friends said the email didn't work, so I looked for the website. But what it is a bunch of women, I don't know, like 20 women, all bare-breasted, with, I guess, just minimal G-strings on. And they're all in smiling, happy, and the theme is the judge decided to give them all trophies. And I thought that was so beautifully democratic. So.
Yeah, hello, am I on with Paula?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't hear me because I'm on the other side of the room. What's on your mind, George?
Well, have I got interesting news for you?
Oh,
Okay.
great.
Okay. Ivanka Trump has called me, and she said she's getting tired of some of her boyfriends. And I said, yes, Ivanka. And she said, can I give them to Paula Gloria when I'm through with them?
You've got to be teasing me.
No, so Ivanka wants to pawn off some of her old, tired boyfriends that she's sick of because she wants new, fresh blood all the time on Paula Gloria. So be ready.
You have such a great sense of humor.
Well, Ivanka does too, okay?
Okay.
And so she said, if there's anybody who deserves my old boyfriends, it's Paula.
Aw. Does she watch my show?
Yes, okay?
Really?
So
That's
she
amazing.
hopes to see these guys on your show soon, okay?
Why not? Why not? I'm always up for an adventure.
What a
Why
surprise.
not? Okay, and I just wanted to let you know that the French from 1981 on a French TV channel are running my 1981 interview where they came here from Paris to interview me in 81. It's about 8 minutes long. And also, in 1982, cable TV was very much in the news, and they did 2 retrospectives on the wackiness of cable TV and how nuts most of the people were who produced public access shows. Basically saying they had no talent.
Right.
If you know Channel 9, Richard Bay used to be on Channel 9.
Yeah?
He did one of the shows, and he doesn't exactly use these words, but what he says is, the people on cable TV have absolutely no talent and are no good whatsoever. But let's interview Ugly George, okay?
Aha.
So he's now put that back up. I think you can get it from YouTube as well. I'm part of it. And I'm proud to tell you that of the 8 to 10 shows that are reviewed on every one of them, I am the only one who's still active, got 48 million links on Yahoo. The others have gone by the wayside or into a worse place called Purgatory.
Right, purgatory. That sounds pretty bad.
Okay, so I'm going to sign off, but I just wanted to let you know, Paula, that as soon as Ivanka Trump, calls me and gives me her boyfriends, I'll be sending them to you.
Okay, thanks a lot, George.
Okay, Paula.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. So we can carry on. Joe, we'll go back to you. What do you think of that?
I was amazed at how brief he was, but it was interesting information.
Well, he was actually pretty courageous because he's looking for money for his film. What he wants to do is take all his old public access shows and put a plot in them. And I think it would make a great feature film. But when you're looking for backers, he's concerned that some of them might be uncomfortable about 9/11 truth. And I think you can understand that, right, Joe? I mean, you see, even in the 9/11 truth movement, there's passionate disagreements. So we were talking about controlled demolition. You want to go back to that?
Yeah, we had a passionate disagreement, you and I.
Right.
You don't like the idea that controlled demolition plus explosives explain the way the towers came down. And I believe that engineering is up to the task of using explosives and cutting charges to have accomplished exactly the way the 2 big towers came down, and later in the day, Building 7. And looking at, for example, the imagery in 9/11 Mysteries, as recently as the last 4 or 5 days, I did look again at 9/11 Mysteries, and when you stick in the DVD, you have your choice of chapters. I went to chapter 11, and there was beautiful, crisp photography of the collapse. There was obviously an effort made to throw out enough clouds to hide some of what was going on. But basically, what I saw...
What do you mean by that, Joe? Throw out clouds?
They made some effort to increase the amount of cloudage from the front of the, the outside of the building. Because the more dark clouds they could have, the more they can make it seem mysterious and sort of veil the fact that it was controlled demolition. But in general, when you see all the different videos of buildings coming down with controlled demolition, there is a look to it. And I'm surprised you haven't seen the similarity in look. I mean, have you seen the similarity? What do you think?
What I'm doing is I'm putting up a shot right now of the pictures.
Uh-huh.
And actually,
so what I see is that the way they brought it down was they were very liberal in the use of explosives. They used plenty. And the plentiness of the explosives allowed them to reduce to dust the contents of the buildings, the people, the furniture, the file cabinets, the wiring, the draperies, the tables and chairs. The whole deal was reduced to powder. Now, how much explosives does it take to do that? I could imagine, let's say, from the elevator, they would stop in between the floors and just sort of spray out explosives, or maybe guys would crawl along beams and actually tie down explosives in different locations. But if you have well-distributed explosives throughout the building, and they're timed in sequence, so it goes floor, 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 that would, to me, fit what I saw. Was the building came down, top down. Building 7 came down bottom first. So there were different styles demolition, but in controlled demolition you have your choice. You can do it either way.
you have your choice.
Yeah.
What I'm doing here, you can't really see them, but you'll see them on your show. I have two pictures, one where the smoke is more like an outline, and then one where it's more billowy, but it's pretty close. Actually,
but the billowy, like a cumulus cloud.
Actually, do you want to step over here and look at it? I'll move the cameras. Yeah, I'll put the camera on you looking at it. There. Actually, if you take the mic, then you can...
Oops.
Here, I'll tell you what, I'll stop the tapes. Now, keep going back and forth from here. Here's the one where it looks more like the building. See how that
A lot
goes?
of smoke, yeah.
A lot of smoke, but it's shaped like a building. And then here, it's more, you know,
It's already down. It's just
out
a smoke
window
look.
of Four Eyes office, seconds after first tower collapse.
Oh,
And
so
this one is seconds after second tower collapse. Oh, so that's a different building. But look at that, how it's...
a lot of smoke.
But here's the part.
Wait, I could get the
Watch.
camera going. Don't.
It's going.
It is.
Oh, you want it going on you.
No, no,
But
I'm
here's,
not. As long
here's
as
the
you're talking.
part. Look at this. You know what that is?
The tower, the antenna.
So how can the antenna be standing and then all this collapse and standard control demolition? That would be the first to go down by the time it collapsed onto here.
Well, in order, in other words,
Here, you use the mouse to explain what you want.
if that's the tip, that means that the tower is probably down to about here at this point, and this part is,
You mean the tip just stays free? It just stays there?
well, as it collapses, the tower stays up, yeah.
But how can, what about all of this? Isn't that collapsing? Where's all the smoke coming from?
Well, this is the second tower, so there's already smoke from the first tower.
No, but this is shaped just like the building.
This smoke here, this line.
Yeah. All that smoke seems
this-
around that tower.
No, I would say that if you have this much going on, then it's still connected to whatever it is that supports it. You know, there's still some structure here that isn't down yet.
That's many, many floors. You're talking about
Well,
30
the tower
floors.
itself is about this
It's not
long.
a tower, that's the antenna.
All right, the antenna, the antenna is about this. They call them towers too.
Oh, they do, okay.
But this is about this long, right? The antenna? Or even longer, maybe this long.
Oh, you know what? Now I'm not getting the mic here for the stream. Here. Keep talking and I'll...
But either way, we're not talking about defying gravity. You know, it's in a position that's coming down.
Oh, just a second. Let's switch
But
this.
the shape of the clouds is a big part of it. I definitely see those clouds as the kinds of clouds you would expect. They sort of confirm the idea of an explosion. They're the clouds of explosions.
Point again with your mouse.
The
Of
tip
where
of
the tip where
the
it's
tip is
attached
here.
to as an engineer.
Although we can't even be sure that's it, but it certainly looks like it.
It looks like an antenna.
Yeah, it looks like the tip of the antenna.
And then, as an engineer, where would it be attached? Wouldn't it be attached to the top
We
floor?
don't know the scale, how long it is. The antenna was like free up in the air until about here.
Oh, you think that the antenna is that big?
Yeah.
That tall?
I don't know. I mean, the scale is...
Well, we should be able to
If we
find
had
out.
a picture with the same bridge and the same size, and then we could see what the antenna looks like from this distance.
Well, there must be some record of how big that antenna was,
Yeah.
right? So once we find a big antenna, then we can...
But the collapse itself, that's the problem, old buddy, is that you can't quite make peace with that collapse being accomplished by Controlled Demolition Incorporated.
No, I can't. I think that was a set-up thing to find scapegoats. I also don't like the Building 7 because of Silverstein. I think it sort of eats, so it fans itself up with deep-seated anti-Semitism, that for the sake of insurance, somebody would take down a building. They call
first
it,
of all,
if you heard the
he
expression...
did not do it for the sake of insurance. Let's be clear about that. He did it because he was a willing participant in a U.S. government plot to get the American people riled up to accept a police state and military adventures and all the rest of it. So he was just some guy that was the civilian choice for the people who cooked it up, Zellicoe and Cheney. But
But people hate those people.
Here's
Right now, they
something
hate
I learned
them.
yesterday that I didn't send you, but I did send around to a couple of people.
Do you want to sit back there and
How Stephen Jones lost his job. Did you ever hear that story?
No. Come over here and tell us how Stephen Jones lost his job. There we go. Oops, just a second. Okay. Okay, we're on you. Okay, now Stephen Jones is, explain to people who don't know who Stephen Jones is.
Stephen Jones is among the two. Stephen Jones and David Ray Griffin are the two highest up academic figures in the United States who have placed their reputations on the line, the authority of their titles, their PhDs. They have placed them on the line for the proposition that controlled demolition is the only logical, reasonable explanation for the way the towers came down. And both of them have produced papers, writings, and given lectures that were videoed and participated in helping produce more videos. And they explain the theory that you find unbelievable, but they do the math, they make the arguments, they do calculations that controlled demolition is how the towers came down. Therefore, there was prearranged by people who had access to the buildings. And Building 7 in particular, where there is the Secret Service, the CIA, the FBI, of all buildings, that would not be a building to expect the Arabs to have managed to put cutting charges throughout the building. It had to be with their cooperation, with their connivance. So this was a U.S. government project to scare the living bejesus out of the American people. It was successful. There was this seminar by Philip D. Zellicoe in '98, how to use a catastrophe. His phrase, catastrophic terrorism, not just your ordinary kind of terrorism, but catastrophic terrorism to shake up the American people like Hitler shook up the German people. And Zelikow did study what Hitler did. So it is the ultimate irony. Zelikow, who is Jewish, learning from the Germans how to do the same thing to the U.S. so we can pick on the Arabs. It is something as a Jew I'm a little ashamed of, but as a Jew I'm speaking out against it at least. Oy, that even distracted me. It's like, whoa, the Jewish question. But to say that Silverstein did it for the money...
No,
yeah,
no, I didn't say that.
But you agree, if he was a willing participant with the U.S. government plot, then the exchange of money is minor, and it is to his credit. He tried something I wouldn't have had the balls to even try, is try to argue that those were two unrelated incidents when they were obviously a single incident.
That's so
and he got himself like an extra. First he was going for like 2 times $3.5 billion, would have been 7, and I think he got that award, and then some high court knocked it down. Oy, that's a thing. But it was cooked up by Philip Zelikow. Oh, here was the thing I remember now. I was talking about how Stephen Jones got fired.
Yeah.
So what happened was Cheney did it. That shortly after Cheney had a conversation with the president of the university that Stephen Jones was employed as a professor. Shortly after that conversation with Cheney, that is described in the newspapers in Utah as a private conversation. In other words, they didn't even come up with a cover story, a lie, like they were talking about this and that. They don't even bother to tell you what they were talking about. They just say it was private. But approximately 7 days later, Stephen Jones was fired. And the occasion was a Veterans of Foreign Wars event in Salt Lake City, where the university is. And it says Cheney in Bush, but I guess we will both agree, Paula, that Bush is irrelevant.
You both agree?
Huh?
You don't. You say he is relevant or irrelevant?
Bush is irrelevant. I mean,
he's irrelevant.
He didn't. He's just a puppet. Incidentally, when it comes to Bush being a jerk, I continuously feel the shame of the obviousness to the history, to the the way history will read, that as a whole people, the American people were so far gone, so stupefied, so dumbed down, that they accepted a jerk like Bush as their president without just seeing through him that he was totally unacceptable, or as my one of my caps says, that he blew the job, that he's just a second-grade fool. And it is proof that we do need fundamental change, a dramatic bunch of changes, which is the topic I started out with, that I wanted to argue that I am pretty good at articulating the changes that we need. So I was going to put forward in some artistic presentation, like a rap song, you want change, you want a solution to the money issue, you want to...
Say Rabbit Hole Central. Push on the button so everybody hears.
Rabbit Hole Central. Molly.
Is this you can just tell who I am by my laugh?
Yeah, Molly, we're streaming now. But if you go to Rabbit,
Boy, this is a long day.
I know. If you go to RabbitHoleCentral.tv, I actually had Frank Craven on before, and I've got the shotgun.
Your messages. I love sun-gazing. I mean, come on, Joey, you got to get into it.
Into what? Stargazing?
Sun-gazing. You won't have to eat.
He doesn't understand, Molly. Explain.
Well, I am in the midst of doing a process where you you get all your nutrients and livelihood from sunlight.
Right.
Wow.
It makes you healthy, wealthy, and wise.
Well, it should make you slimmer.
Slimmer.
Well, actually, that's not no guarantee. It will balance out your weight. But the guy that we met that lives entirely on sunlight, I would say he's carrying a lot more weight than Alan ever once would.
Yeah.
So, you think that you're going to get slim that way, which I think that you will if you're carrying around extra weight that's unhealthy.
Wow, yeah, I don't see much of Alan eating. I guess you're an expert on that, Paula Gloria. He doesn't eat much?
No. No, he eats a lot, Molly, right?
He's just got a very high metabolism.
Wow.
And also, he doesn't eat regularly.
Uh-huh.
The only time I ever saw Alan put on weight was in India, of all places.
I know, that's true.
Because we were feeding him on a regular basis.
Say, Molly, we're doing a show for Jo. Jo, you want to tell her?
I'm sorry.
No, tell...
Am I not participating in what you were talking about?
No, it's just I have to yell across the room how we're setting it up. I'm rolling in some directed energy weapons, and Jo and I are having a discussion about controlled demolition versus directed energy weapons.
A discussion or an argument?
Well, no, it's pretty good. But guess what? Ugly George called up, and I'm going to have Jo tell you what he said because it'll come up on the mics better.
Okay. It's no longer a call-in stream?
We're both recording and streaming.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll leave you to it.
No.
No, we want to tell you what...
No, he's going to tell you what Ugly George said.
Ugly said that he has negotiated, or is relaying, that Ivanka Trump, out of her appreciation of the Paula Gloria show that she watches at every opportunity, that she has decided to give Paula Gloria all her old boyfriends. after she's had...
Including Donald, or does he doesn't count because she actually married him?
No, this is the daughter, Molly.
Oh, Ivanka.
Yeah.
Oh, I said that wrong, yeah.
There's Ivana and Ivanka.
I missed the subtlety there. Oh, wow. Okay.
You got to be pretty...
So these are younger guys. This is a good deal.
This is a good deal.
Yeah, you can...
How do they feel about the deal?
Well, once they saw Paula Gloria, they said they were dying to be her fuck buddies.
Oh, this is your show, Joe.
Whoops.
Oops.
Dying?
Dying?
You'll never be dying for anything, including dying for a change, because, you won't be able to appreciate it.
Yeah, I think we need a redraft of that phraseology altogether. What can you do?
So
But-
Ivanka watches your show, Paul. That's so cool.
Well, I don't know. Do you think Ugly George is telling the truth? One wonders. I think it might be just a publicity
But
thing.
I have figured out what you can call him instead of Ugly George when you're actually talking to him face to face.
What's that?
Ooh.
George.
George, yeah. Well, some people go on a first name basis. Ugly. Hey, Ugly.
Well, I'm just saying that if you're uncomfortable with calling him Ugly George, you can just call him George.
Yeah, right.
He seems very detached,
Well, I don't understand, but you were the one that was having an issue with it. He wasn't.
No, that's true. Oh, yeah.
Anyway, just offering solutions.
Oh, Molly, here's the deal. Guess who called up on the stream that I wasn't expecting?
Oh.
It was Frank Craven, and you know why he called? You're just not going to believe this.
Why?
He called because he loved the Ugly George show, and you know how uptight Frank usually is?
Really? He's uptight?
Well, haven't you noticed?
Anyway, go ahead.
The reason I'm saying uptight was because once I had a beautiful poem written by a sex worker, and he was so offended, and he got so upset. So I would have thought he wouldn't have been on Ugly George's side, but he really saw the beauty of the show that Ugly George had done.
The only thing that I just have a little bit of a reaction to is that it seems like he uses a pretty hard sell technique to get these women to take off their shirt.
Yeah, he is kind of a pest about it.
Yeah, but there's another way to look at it. What if you wanted to take off your shirt and you needed just that inspiration?
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
But I that you got pestered into taking your shirt off. How do you feel about it now?
Hey, that is a great idea, Molly. Let's interview the women that Ugly George exposed.
If you've been exposed, call in, and Paula Gloria will. A little hard hooking up with him, but yeah, give it a try.
I don't know. I mean,
Say, Molly, can you get on the computer and look? Because I'm very curious about the sound levels. Because what I've done is I've put the shotgun mic on the telephone and on Joe, and I'm in the next room.
all right. I'm eating, but
Oh, what are you
Well,
eating?
that's okay. We're going to go on for another 15 minutes.
all right. 'Cause I'm gonna do my sun gazing at 5:00.
Oh, good for you. Good for you.
Now, when you do your gazing, how are your eyelids are closed?
No. If you're looking at the sun an hour after sunrise or an hour before sunset, in that hour, the sun is weak enough that you can look at it directly.
Well, I would encourage you're closing your eyes and not stretching things to the limit, that with your eyelids closed, you can look into the sun all day long, hour after hour, and it's all good that the eyelids filter out just the harmful amounts of the sun, and what gets through is all good. So why push your limits?
I guess because I'm an extreme kind of girl, and I don't have all day to look at the sun through my eyelids.
Uh-huh.
You're an extreme kind of girl. I love that, Molly.
Uh-huh.
I love that about you. Wait until Ugly George finds
So,
out.
Paula, after the Ivanka's
I'm not
boyfriend...
taking off my shirt for Ugly George.
Uh-huh.
He's too creepy.
Just imagine the squeal of delight when he gets success.
Actually, you know, James said he wanted to be around for that one. I was discussing that with him. I said I'd do it for breast cancer awareness.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Actually, Molly, I was so delighted today. You know what? Joe used this expression, needing a little more ego, because there's a friend of ours that's going through a horror with her apartment. You know, there was a bar that moved in illegally. It wasn't zoned for a bar, and she started to take it to City Hall, and it's just been a nightmare for her. So Joe was talking about going over there just to help her through the papers. Is that how you said it, Joe? What was the expression?
Help her do her paperwork?
Yeah, but you used the expression a little more ego.
Well, that it's such an effort on her part to just keep cranking out these papers by their deadlines, that she needs somebody to hold her hand, that she doesn't have quite all the ego she would benefit from to get it done. And that's what you hire lawyers for, is that lawyers take it upon themselves, the responsibility to get the papers done in time, and it does take whatever you want to call it, willpower.
But you use...
I think that you know, Swami sort of talks about this too. You know, you've got to build up enough willpower so that you have confidence, but not so much willpower that you have arrogance.
Right.
Ooh.
Right.
And there's a fine line between the two, and I think that attachment or self-worth is kind of part of that. Arrogance kind of has to do with, it's sort of linked to insecurity.
Right.
Ah, okay.
Well, anyway, here's the great news, Molly. Frank...
My computer's almost fired up,
So Frank Craven called up. Actually, I already cut the stream because I didn't think anybody was listening.
right.
And then he...
We're recording, right?
Yeah, we're recording. So he called up because he saw the Ugly George interview. And we got to talking, and lo and behold, he's there with the lady who I met actually at the Oscars when I went over with Nico Haupt to watch with Harold. And this lady is a neurologist. So I started... Hello?
You said so in the message you left. And she's also interested in working with the sun, correct?
Well, she just by streaming and telling her some of my experiences with this book, Sunlight Can Save Your Life, she got interested. So I started to tell her a story about when I took my shirt off, you know, bare-breasted in Stuyvesant Park, next to some homeless people, but we were all in this heavy meditation mode, that it was really natural to...
You know that the homeless people were meditating.
Well, You have to listen to the show because I'm just I'm rushing through it. I mean, I was.
I remember this, but go ahead.
Yeah, so I had Frank there, and then he had this really, really smart doctor. You know, she graduated from Columbia and Phi Beta Kappa and all that. And she started talking about neurology as the study mostly of all these problems, epilepsy and so on. So I thought, why not switch it to the other extreme, where you go into extraordinary health, you know? And I said, why was the pleasure so great when the sun strikes your body, all your body, and particularly on your breasts? And then I said, if somebody had come along and my protectors, because by the time I felt comfortable enough to take my top off, the homeless people were like, I felt they were protecting me. But if some, you know, lecherous type of person came through, even with my eyes closed, I know I would have felt the energy suck.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, so what I was asking her is, I said, is there anything in neurology that can measure ESP? Or extrasensory perception. And then you know what she said? It was so interesting. She said she didn't know much about it. Of course, Frank knew all about it with the seven subtle bodies and so on. And I said, no, no, no. I want to know from a medical doctor, what do you think? And then she said there were studies done with blind people where you can show them an image, and even though they can't see it, if you show them a whole bunch of images, more often than not, they will be correct about the image. Isn't that?
How do you show them these images?
You just put it in front of their face, even though they can't see it.
Right. Okay. I just want to know what, you know.
I guess. I mean, we can ask her because she's really interested in this book, Sunlight Can Save Your Life, and she's going to look into it more. Anyway.
Nasty joke. You know, there are other things that are going on with sunlight. I just wanted to let you know that, you know, I've taken you to heart.
Well, thank you. It is a direction I didn't fathom as I was introducing you to the glories of the sun, but okay.
So it sounds like you weren't very happy with the direction I took you in.
Well, you taking vitamins? I would say this, you can ease up on the A and the D.
The A and the D?
I think
you mean the vitamins?
Yeah, I think you get some of that from the sunshine.
Well,
at least.
Okay, think of it this way. If the sun creates, you know, plants, right, through chlorophyll.
It participates in their creation, yes.
And animals eat plants.
Right.
And basically, we are just all products of indirect sunlight.
Right, indirect.
I definitely agree on that.
So if your body could process sunlight effectively,
then we wouldn't need plants.
then we wouldn't need to resort to all this indirect, and also that means that we wouldn't have to spend all those resources growing the plants, you know, and you know, scratching around for all the food issue.
Right.
All you had to do is just have some sunny days.
Hey, Molly, but what if you can metabolize the sunlight better through your breasts? Then what?
Well, I mean,
then ugly.
I'm not averse to clothing optional. You know, it's not really. You're talking to the wrong person if you're looking for an argument.
No, I know. I remember. There's a part in the book about that. That's for sure. You know, I was so traumatized by Alan being off with another woman that Molly appeared topless, and I didn't even notice. She kept saying, "Do you notice anything different? Do you notice anything different?" And I said, "No, I don't. You know."
That's interesting.
I mean, poor Paula was just all she did was chase Alan around the entire time. She wasn't interested in enlightenment. She was just interested in where Alan was.
So who was the woman?
There were so many, it was hard to count.
Okay.
Not that he was completely successful, but he was still
Chasing.
in the hunt.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, except when I spent the night with that guy, right?
Oh yeah.
Then tell.
When Paula gets a real date with this really cute young German guy who, you know, just mad for her, Alan can't find a date.
I didn't hear that last part. He couldn't find a date? Oh, to strike back. To even the score.
He was in agony and wildly jealous.
Oh.
It's all in the book. It's all in the book. How's the book coming, Molly?
What?
How's the book coming? Tell the Streamland.
I actually worked on it this morning. I worked on it last night.
That's great.
Vengeance is
I'm
sweet.
back in the groove.
Oh.
Anything you want to tell our viewers?
No, not really. I mean, I don't really have any burning issues unless people.
Oh, Molly, I know what I want you to address. Your editor had said this would be similar to Sex in the City. Do you have anything to say about Ugly George having inspired, like when I told Christine Ebersole about Ugly George, she didn't know who that was, but then she said, oh, that sounds like Girls Gone Wild. Do you have any...
The Girls Gone Wild has a lot more to do with what Ugly George is all about than Sex in the City. Sex in the City is really not about sex. Sex in the City is more about the relationship of four women, in relation to their world.
Right.
And what seems to be going on, for the most part, is they talk about men.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not as much about sex as it is about sexual politics.
Right.
We have the last minute for Joe. You want to wind it up so you navigate this?
Sex in the City. Sex.
How's your sex life?
I've been thinking about that lately. I am not actually in touch with my sexuality. I'm.
Why do you think that is? It's not because people aren't interested in you. There's lots of women that I think are interested in you.
It's true, Molly.
I think the problem is that I abuse my sexuality by faking it with women I really wasn't in love with, or even that much attracted to.
Wow.
Wait. You went out with women that you weren't attracted to or in love with? I don't understand.
Yeah, that's what I did. I was just kind of hard up, and I went through the motions, but it really wasn't talking deeply to my sexuality.
Wow.
But why
I'm going to cry.
Women that you weren't attracted to or weren't in love with?
Why did? Because I couldn't find anybody better, so I was just making do.
You loved the one you were with.
So to speak. No, I think I pretended to, but I find it difficult to hook up with women that I'm attracted to. It's like I'm constantly scanning. Is there anybody in this room I'm attracted to? If there is, let's see, what's the move? Should I go run up to her and say, is your birthday September 10th? Oops, sorry, never mind.
Have you ever been attracted to anyone who is not a September baby?
Regularly.
Aww.
Regularly, so you are attracted to women.
Yeah, I find different women attractive, and then I ask them their birthday, and they tell me what it is, and I go, oh, gee, I know somebody for you.
Yeah, but if you're attracted to them, why don't you go for it?
Well, because the attraction to them is just the physical, but once I know the birthday, I know that it'll just be a problem once we go at it, that the way their minds work is going to be problematic. They won't be good confidants. They won't be people to share my thinking with. It will be...
I think that, to me, that sounds like an excuse.
Well, I mean it not as a rationalization, but heartfelt, Molly. I think it's the truth that if you can... The trouble with sex being irresponsibly used is that sex is a bonding thing, and if you keep plugging away, bonding deeper and deeper, tighter and tighter, closer and closer with somebody, and their way of thinking is not as harmonious with your way of thinking as the good old Joe Friendly discovered 6 months apart, happy hallelujah, then you're digging yourself into a bad situation. You know what I mean?
You know what they say, even bad relationships are good for the soul.
That is a pathetic rationalization, I think.
Well,
Nice try.
It's like,
Yeah, sure. What they call, what do they say? Experience is the name we give to our mistakes.
True.
Yeah, so.
Good judgment comes from experience, and experience comes from poor judgment. But I just think that, okay, when have you gone out with somebody who hasn't been your September perfect person that it hasn't worked out?
I would say basically 100%.
Have you ever gone out with a September person that it has worked out? Have you ever gone out with someone who's born in September?
I did go out with some September 10ths that I wasn't attracted to. And it worked out pretty good, but...
So you merely went out with them because of their birthday?
Well, I enjoyed, yeah, I guess. Let me think. Well, when you say merely, it means that there was a lot of compatibilities that I appreciated. But since they weren't physically attractive, it was an effort. It was like, what's wrong with this picture? So I'm conflicted. What can I...
That you can't seem to find anyone.
It's a national problem. I don't think most people are able to find somebody that they are both attracted with and feel a inner harmony with the way they share their thinking. Have you noticed? How about you, Molly? Have you been going out with guys you're attracted to?
Yeah. Those are the only guys I go out with.
Good for you.
Maybe Ivanka Trump will throw some more our way.
Well, I must admit, sometimes I go out with guys that are more attracted to me than I am to them.
Now we're talking.
But that doesn't mean that there's not some attraction there.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I couldn't sleep with someone unless I was somewhat attracted to them.
There's, Your Honor, let the record show a